Google just gave every employee the ability to build AI agents inside Workspace. That sounds like productivity. It might be the next shadow IT nightmare. But in 2026, that model is officially dead. The next phase of enterprise AI is not about chatting. It's about agents that can execute, moving through your documents, your inbox, your approvals, and your internal policies without human intervention. Google just made this a reality with Workspace Studio, turning everyday employees into agent builders. But there is a problem no one is talking about. Once every department builds its own autonomous agents, you run into the most dangerous enterprise bottleneck of 2026, agent sprawl. Today we're breaking down Google Workspace Studio, the new A2A protocol, and why the future of enterprise AI requires serious operational governance before it creates absolute chaos. By the end, I'll give Workspace Studio a tech reality score and tell you whether your enterprise should actually trust it. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Execution Overhype podcast. I'm your host, John Turns. Giving your team the power to build agents is the easy part. Google just made it point and click. But what happens when you have hundreds of unsupervised bots messaging each other, delegating tasks, and making live decisions inside your core business tools? Our goal here isn't to walk through the flashy feature lists or hype up how cool the tech is. It's to figure out the actual rugged architecture you need to keep that automation from turning into complete corporate chaos. To understand why this matters to your operations team, you have to understand what Google Workspace Studio actually does. This is not just another chatbot bolted onto Gmail. Workspace Studio turns the Office suite into an execution layer. It lets everyday users build agents that automate business processes using Gemini's reasoning. Think about a traditional workflow. A customer emails support. Someone reads the email. They open Drive to find the contract. They check Sheets for the account status. They draft a response. They update the CRM. That's not one task. That's a chain of fragile human handoffs. Workspace Studio is designed to collapse those handoffs. An agent can be triggered by an email, analyze the context, pull the contract, draft the response, and route the work. Automation moves the data, agents interpret intent. But here's where the enterprise starts bleeding money. Once agents become easy to build, everyone starts building them. Marketing builds a campaign agent, finance builds an invoice agent, HR builds an onboarding agent. At first, it looks like incredible productivity, then the operational friction hits. Which agent has authority? Which one owns the task? Which one is allowed to talk to external systems? This is where Google's A2A protocol, agent-to-agent communication, comes into play. This is where Google's A2A protocol, agent-to-agent communication, comes in. A2A is trying to do for agents what APIs did for software. It creates a standardized way for agents to discover each other, describe what they can do, and delegate tasks. This is a massive shift. They're no longer pulling records from a database. They are making decisions and negotiating tasks across systems. That is incredibly powerful, but if you don't govern it correctly, it will be a liability. Workspace Studio lowers the barrier to building agents. A2A lowers the threshold for agents to communicate, but it does create higher governance requirements. If you let agents appear randomly across your business, you do not have innovation, you have agent sprawl. You have redundant bots draining API budgets and creating massive security blind spots. The strategy for 2026 is what we call the sovereign agent mesh. This means you create a governed network where every agent has an identity, scope, permissions, audit trails, and clear escalation rules. There are 3 layers that matter. First is agent identity. Every agent needs an owner, a purpose, and a permission boundary. You need to know exactly what it is allowed to access and what it is allowed to trigger. Without identity, you have anonymous execution. Second is delegation rules. A workspace agent may be able to draft a contract, but can it approve it? Can it ask another agent to update the CRM? Permissions are no longer just about access, they're about action. Third, and lastly, is auditability. Every agent-to-agent interaction needs an audit trail. Who initiated the task? Which agent accepted it? Was a human asked for approval? We are moving from shadow IT to shadow agents. A spreadsheet macro could break a report. A rogue agent can break an entire operational process. Before we rate Google Workspace Studio and put this tech on a scoreboard, let's take a quick second. If you're getting actual value out of this breakdown, do us a favor and hit the like button, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Our goal here is pretty straightforward. We just want to give you honest, rugged architecture you need to protect your operations before things get messy. Now it's time for the Tech Reality Score. We're stripping away the vendor marketing and grading the actual readiness of Google Workspace Studio and the A2A protocol. Look, the sales pitch is beautiful. Every day, employees building custom workflows and agents seamlessly coordinating across your business. But if you're running operations, you have to look past the hype and evaluate the engineering reality. Does this tech actually deliver controlled, predictable execution, or is it just a faster, more expensive way to accelerate shadow IT? For the ease of use, we give it a 9 out of 10. Google is aiming this at business users. If your team lives in Workspace, the learning curve is low. But remember, ease of use can easily become ease of misuse. For functionality, it gets an 8 out of 10. For document-heavy processes, approvals, and routing, this is incredibly strong, but it is not a replacement for human judgment on complex tasks. For integrations, we scored an 8 out of 10. Especially if you're inside the Google ecosystem, it's flawless. But the open question is how cleanly enterprises can operationalize this across mixed environments, like Salesforce or legacy ERPs. The protocol helps, but adoption takes time. Value for cost, it earns a 9 out of 10. If you can remove the drag of manual email triage and spreadsheet checking, the ROI is immediate. But remember, automating a bad process just makes bad work happen faster. Finally, for scalability, it gets a 7 out of 10. Technically, it scales beautifully. Operationally, scalability is a nightmare without governance. Agent lifecycle management is the hardest part of this shift. That brings a final score of 41 out of 50 for Google Workspace. Our final verdict is enterprise ready with the caveat it has to be governed properly. Google Workspace Studio proves that building AI agents is the new spreadsheet macro. It's normal office work now, but this tech is only practical if you stop treating AI like software and start treating agents like actual digital employees. Just like human hires, agents need explicit job descriptions, strict access boundaries, and designated human managers. If you wouldn't let an unvetted intern approve a 6-figure contract, don't let an unsupervised bot do it just because it lives in your inbox. Without tight governance, enterprise utility quickly becomes a massive operational liability. The takeaway is this: Google Workspace Studio is turning the Office suite into an agent factory. A2A is turning those agents into a connected workforce. This is a massive shift. We're moving from documents to decisions, from chatbots to workflows, from single agent productivity to multi-agent operations, and for enterprise leaders, the mandate is clear. Don't wait until every department has built its own invisible workforce before you create the rules. As a COO or business leader, your main priority right now is shielding your enterprise from the impending chaos of unsupervised agent sprawl. That means it's time to look past the generic AI hype. At Seisan, we do not do flashy product demos. We build the hard infrastructure, the architecture, and the governance controls that turn an Office suite full of autonomous agents into a completely reliable, deterministic business asset. Go to Seisan.com/delta-shield to protect your operations before shadow bots take over your workflows. If you found this breakdown valuable, do us a quick favor and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with anyone who still thinks Google Workspace is just for sending emails and updating spreadsheets. Let's get people waking up to the reality of autonomous agent networks. Till next time, I'm John, out.